안녕 친구들. I hope you've been well. I'm going to do a very quick recap of episode 15, and we'll hopefully the recap makes sense because I'm really going to try to keep the recaps to about 10 minutes with all of the musings and such. So let's go ahead and get started. We pick up with the episode as Yeol is calling for Kangchi, and then she stumbles because she starts running because she sees a creature with red flashing eyes or glowing eyes, and she starts running. She stumbles, and then of course there is Woryong to pick her up. And into that tense scene though, Kangchi's like running, trying to locate Yeol, and in his mind he hears Yeol crying out, "Kangchi, save me!" Right? So they are telepathically linked now. Well, it's at that point though, with Yeol having this, I guess, dangerous encounter with Woryong, that she learns that her father spilled innocent blood. And she kind of remembers that her father had told her when she was a kid about having once spilled innocent blood, and that the weight of it is really difficult to handle. Well, she learns at that moment that through Woryong that her dad killed Kangchi's father. What she doesn't know yet is that Woryong is Kangchi's father. Well, anyway, she is stunned, and when Kangchi runs and finds her, she literally collapses into his arms, crying. Well, as they try to then get back up, Yeol realizes, she kind of limps, and she realizes that she's got a sprained ankle, right? Or actually, they knew that before she even tried to get up. And Kangchi's so cute, he gives her the option. You want me to carry you, or you want a piggyback ride? And she's like, no, it's okay. It's just a sprain. I can hobble back home. And he's like, all right, then carry it as it. And he's like, swoops her into his arms, right? Well, that's how the rest of the academy people find them. Kangchi and Yeol walking back with Kangchi carrying Yeol. Anyhow, and then, well, once that happens, that they're caught in the middle of the forest late at night, especially right after Yeol had been out all night long at the Lantern Festival with Kangchi. Basically, Tan Pyeongjun decides to put her under house arrest and tells her that she is going to now start taking sewing lessons, etiquette lessons, and that she's not allowed to come out of her room. And then in the meanwhile, Kangchi has something else to deal with while Yeol is pricking her fingers, trying to sew and things like that. Kangchi is given this belt with 10 bells. I know them, 괜찮아. With 10 bells. And Kwon says, guard these bells with your life, because if at the end of, what is it, I think it's like 4 days, or maybe it's like 5 days or 3 days, I can't remember. It's been a while since I saw this episode, but I know Bella 괜찮아. So, but Kwon says that if there are no bells remaining at the end of that trial time, then Kangchi is going to get kicked out of the academy. And at first I thought that this was just a test specifically for Kangchi, but it turns out that all of the academy soldiers had to go through this, and they call it like the bell test or something like that. So anyway, what's hilarious throughout the entire episode is Kwon like pops up anywhere and everywhere, like flashing like little swords. So the first time it happens is he gives him the bell, and then Kangchi teases him saying, "Are you sure you're really a good swordsman? Surely not." And then he goes, "Whoof," and then the bell one little bell drops. And the sound of the bell dropping is absolutely hilarious. I was like dying of laughter watching this. Well, anyway, so Yeol is in her room trying to learn how to sew, and Kangchi is on the flip side trying to protect the bells, right? And it's hilarious. He goes around carrying his last 5 remaining bells in his hand so that Kwon can't catch him unaware. And, there's this one little short scene where Kwon gets at a bell when Kangchi's trying to get into the bathroom, and, just a whole lot of hilarious stuff. Well, the big things of this episode is that, of course, Kangchi, the bell test, that I think was more like the fun part. And then Yeol trying to learn how to sew. But the other thing though that's kind of big is that Kangchi starts to learn that he can do some really awesome things with his powers. Because what happened was, when he had confronted Woryong at one point, the ivy started to grow around his legs and capture him, right? And so he wonders if that's something that he can do at will. And so he slips off his bracelet and then he commands the ivy on this little rock boulder to grow. And it does, and he's so fascinated. And what's kind of interesting is that Woryong is by the wayside, kind of watching all of this take place. And then Woryong tries to touch the flowers and then they wither. And so, I don't know how to explain it. It was almost like a wistfulness that Woryong expression-wise. Hold on. That Woryong seemed to be sad that he could no longer create life and regenerate, whereas Kangchi is able to do that, and he's really just learning or begin to learn some of his powers. Anyway, when he realizes that, it's so cute because later that night he goes over and he takes a little sprig. And remember, I just told you that Yeol has been locked up in her room and she's only allowed to have lessons with her etiquette teacher, right? Or her Miss Manners teacher. And so Kangchi happens to get the window open and then he shows the little sprig to her. And she's like, "What is that little sprig?" And, of course, she's happy to see Kangchi. And then Kangchi, causes it to grow. And Yeol is just completely enchanted. And she takes the little flower from him. And it really does remind me a little bit of the balcony scene in Romeo and Juliet. Well, what they don't realize, and what we find out later after that scene happens, is that Cheongjo was there, actually. And she was there because I think Suryeon came to, hold on, let me double check. Yeah, Suryeon came to the academy to discuss plans of how they were going to deal with the next installment of their plans and stuff. Well, that's when Cheongjo, who had accompanied Suryeon to the 100-Year Inn, sees Kangchi with Yeol, and so she goes home. And that little ceramic jar of medicine that Kangchi had given her, she throws it down to the floor and then she causes it to shatter. Well, the episode ends on two things. We finally see Seowa's face, the older Seowa's face, as well as Woryong calls out Kangchi, and the two of them face off. And that's it. So, I guess my only musings for this episode, I gotta cut this short because my dog is barking up a storm, but the only musing that I have for episode 15 is that it was incredibly adorable. I would highly recommend, if you need a good laugh, episode 15 is worth the watch. So, alright, I'm gonna cut it here. Take care, and I'm hoping to get episode 16 and 17 uploaded soon. I have seen those episodes, so we'll see what we can do with those. Alright, take care everyone. Bye.